In today's session, you will learn, inshallah, about the structure of roots. You already learned the functions of roots plus the different types of roots. And in previous sessions, we discussed together the organization, okay? The body organization of plants, starting from plant cells. Group of plant cells work together, okay, and perform specific function. This will make what? Plant tissue. And you learn that there are three different tissues: dermal tissue, ground tissue, and vascular tissue, which includes xylem and phloem. And a group of tissues work together to perform specific function. This will form
organs,
such as what? Roots, stem, leaves, flowers. So in today's session, we'll discuss together the first organ, which is roots. In general, you learned before how to label the different tissues. Within root, here we have a cross section within a root. The outermost layer, this orange one, is the dermal. Notice where are the vascular tissues, xylem and phloem. They are found within the core or the center. Anything else, okay?
Yes.
This tissue that is surrounding vascular tissue is ground tissue. In today's session, you will learn how to label these three tissues within a cross section and longitudinal section of roots. Let's first, okay, go through the functions of roots, which you already learned before. What are the functions of roots? Salah Habibti, can you read the functions?
Yes, Miss. Functions of roots. Number one, we anchor the plants to the spot where they grow. Number two, absorb in nutrients. And number three, store organic nutrients like water, like sugar and starch.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. And even in lower grades, you learned the different types of roots. If you remember, the tap root system, fibrous root system, adventitious roots, which includes prop roots and aerial roots. In tap root system, we said that there is what? Large central root, of which smaller roots branches. So in this diagram here, you can notice the tap root having the main root at the center, from which many smaller branches of roots are found. What about fibrous roots? Look at this diagram here, the fibrous roots. Fibrous roots, they are highly branched and there is no central root. When you learned the comparison between dicot and monocot before, you learned that many dicot plants, they have tap roots, while many monocot plants, they have fibrous roots. What about adventitious roots? They grow from above the ground, stem or leaves. So notice here, for example, this diagram shows one example of adventitious root, which is prop roots. Notice how the roots will grow from the stem, yes, okay? Then they will go deep inside the soil. While here, for example, you can see aerial roots. Notice, for example, how also they are growing from leaves or stem and how they are not reaching to the ground. So how they will absorb, from where, sorry, they will absorb the water from the surrounding air, okay? Do you have any question about the functions and the different types of roots?
No.
Okay, so let's start now the structure of roots. I'm going to start with a cross section within the root, which is the diagram at the right, this one, okay? As I told you, you should be able to label the three tissues, the dermal, the ground, and the vascular. Dermal tissue, it is always found where? Within?
Outermost layer.
Outermost layer. So this gray color here, can you notice it?
Yeah.
Yes? It's one single layer. Notice the thickness of it. Only one cell thickness. This is the dermal tissue. The outermost layer within a cross section, the outermost layer is the dermal tissue. If you remember, one of the functions of dermal tissue is absorption of water and minerals, correct? Yes? Notice here
Yeah.
these slender projections from the dermal tissue. These are called root hairs. Root hairs. These root hairs, they are increasing the surface area. As a result, this will allow faster absorption of water and minerals or nutrients. Okay? This is the outermost layer. Now, look at the center, the core of the roots. Can you notice this blue color here? Yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the
Yeah.
xylem. The xylem. Tissues that transport what?
Water and minerals.
Water and minerals, okay? What is the second tissue? The second vascular tissue?
Phloem.
Phloem. So you can find within the center the two vascular tissues, okay? The one at the middle is the xylem. It alternates with phloem. So all of these white cells here, actually, they are forming, okay? They represent, here we have the phloem. Yes? So in the center, at the core, there are the two vascular tissues. You should be able to label them, to distinguish them. The one in the middle, in the center, is the xylem. So here the one with the blue color is the xylem. It alternates with the phloem. Notice the phloem? It is surrounding, okay, the xylem. Hello. What is the third tissue? So the outermost one,
Is phloem.
phloem. In the center, the core, we have the two vascular tissues. In the middle, in the center, the xylem alternates with phloem.
Phloem.
What is the third
Phloem.
tissue? Yellow dermal vascular tissue, and the third tissue is
Yeah.
Ground tissue.
ground.
Ground tissue.
Where is it found? It is surrounding. This yellow color here represents ground tissue. The surrounding vascular tissues, xylem and phloem. Okay?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. هلا the diagram at the left, it shows a longitudinal section within the root. Again, you should be able to label the three tissues. Yes? Let's start with the outermost one. I'm going to use this purple color. The outermost layer, notice it is only one cell thickness. Yes?
Yeah.
What is the name of this tissue?
Miss, what did you say? I didn't hear you. Sorry.
The outermost layer,
Dermal.
Yeah, that's dermal tissue.
the dermal. Yes? At the center, at the core, the vascular tissues, the two vascular xylem and phloem. Now notice here, you have the red color, which is in the middle. So the red color here represents
Xylem.
xylem, alternates with the phloem. So the blue color
Phloem, yeah.
represents the phloem. Both of them vascular tissues. Immediately, once you notice that the vascular tissues are in the center, in the core of a cross section or longitudinal, it means that this is a root. Okay, this diagram shows the cross section or longitudinal section within a root. Okay, Habibati?
Yes, miss.
Yes, yes.
What about the third tissue, the ground tissue? It is surrounding
And the xylem and phloem.
The
Vascular tissue.
this part here represent the ground tissue. Do you have any question?
No, miss. All good.
No. Thank you.
Notice this part here. And if I have this root, here I have the tip of the root. What is happening within the tip of the root and the tip of the shoot?
This tip of the root, doesn't it absorb water?
No,
Or
dividing of cells. This area, it
oh
is
yeah.
as the meristem, if you remember. What is happening here?
Yeah.
Dividing of cells, making new cells. Yes?
Yeah, like in the onion
Here,
that
yes,
you did.
it shows the tip of the root where cells are dividing to make a new and new cells. Okay? Notice, for example, in the beginning, the still xylem and the phloem, they are undifferentiated. Then, okay, we will have primary xylem, secondary, tertiary, while the root is growing. Now, so here we have the tip of the root. Notice, okay, the root hairs. You can find root hairs within dermal, the outermost layer. But where? In all the root except the tip of the root. There are no root hairs here. Can you notice that?
Yeah.
Okay. One more point. Notice this green color here?
Yeah.
This is called the root cap,
Mm-hmm.
which is surrounding, okay, the tip of the root. What do you think is the function of root cap? Think of the tip of the root and how it is important, since it is the area where new cells, okay, are produced. Dividing of cells are taking place here. So what should, okay,
We should
this area should be protected, right? Bravo. Okay, so what is the function of the root cap?
To protect the growing
protect-
tip in plants.
Bravo.
Yeah,
Okay,
to
to protect. Okay, so protection. The function of it is protection. So the root cap here protects the tip of the root. Do you have any question?
No, miss.
No, thank you.
One. Let's turn back to the slide that describe the structure of the root. I'm going to start with the third part, which is here, vascular tissues, number 3. What are the two vascular tissues?
Xylem and phloem.
Xylem and phloem. So both xylem and phloem. Where are they found?
In the core of the root.
In the core. Bravo. So they are found in the core of the root, the center. And how can you differentiate between them? How can you distinguish between them? You should know the xylem from the phloem, okay? You should be able to label both of them. Which one is in the center?
Xylem.
Okay, and it alternates with phloem. Bravo.
Okay.
Okay. Hala. The second tissue, which is surrounding the vascular tissue, is the ground.
Yes, the
Ground tissue.
ground tissue.
Ground tissue.
Okay. So it surrounds the vascular tissue. It surrounds the vascular tissue. Sometimes in woody roots, xylem replaces the ground tissue. In woody roots, there will be no ground tissue. Xylem replaces the ground tissue. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Now the third part,
Dermal tissue.
dermal tissue. The epidermis, the source of this word, it's a Greek word. Epi means upon, yes? Dermis, it
Yeah.
means skin. So the epidermis covers all root, but not the root tips. Not the root tips. Epidermal cells just behind root tips, they produce root hairs. In some plants, when they get older, cork replaces the epidermis. What is the meaning of that? Let's watch together this video. that shows the difference between epidermis and cork. For epidermis, you know that it's made up of living cells forming a layer, which is a thin layer. It is only one cell thickness, correct? Notice the diagram here. Notice the thickness. The gray color, for example, it is only one cell thick. This layer, the outer one, it is made up of only one cell thickness. Even in the longitudinal, yes, it is only one cell thickness. Let's watch together, Habibati, this video. Just 1 minute. Cork and epidermis.
راسي لفوق لحتى اخد شوية هوا نزلني لتحت.
Epidermis and cork cells in plants.
Yeah.
They are usually present as outermost layer of the plant parts and protect the internal tissues present in them.
So how are they similar to each other, epidermis and cork?
They both protect plant.
Both of them, they are
outermost.
the outermost layer, yes? And the function of both of them is?
Protecting.
Protection, bravo, okay?
Yeah.
So here we have the epidermis, yes? Yes, this layer. This red color here represents the cork. As we said, some plants later on, the epidermis are transformed, okay, into cork. Let's see the differences between epidermis and
Epidermis and cork are called protective tissues in plants. Epidermis. Epidermis is the outermost protective layer of plant organs. It is single-layered in thickness.
Single layer of
In
thickness.
aerial parts
It's made
of the
up
plant,
of living cells,
the
by
outer
the
wall
way.
of the epidermis has a waxy covering of cutin, which protects the plants from water loss and mechanical injury. In grasses and cereals, the outer wall of epidermis has a deposition of silica, which makes the plant parts stiff and abrasive, which prevent grazing. Root epidermis helps in absorption of water due to the presence of root hair.
How they help in absorption of water, root epidermis? Because they have these slender projections, which are what?
Root hair.
Root hairs. The root hairs increase the surface area, so this will allow for faster absorption.
As the epidermis of leaves and green stems contain minute pores called stomata, which helps in the exchange of gases. Glandular hairs of epidermis protect plants from herbaceous animals. Cork.
What about cork?
When the roots and stem grow older with time, their outermost tissue is transformed into a specialized protective tissue called cork.
Yes, so in some plants, okay, while they are growing older, the outermost tissue, which is the epidermal, transformed into specialized protective tissue. They are called what? Cork.
Cork.
They are dead cells. Notice this difference? And there will be different layers, okay? Not only one layer.
Cork cells are dead and are without intercellular spaces. The walls of the cork cells are thickened by the deposition of suberin. Functions. Cork protects the internal tissues and prevents water loss. It provides
Such as
insulation
epidermal.
against heat and cold. Lenticels present in the cork provide aeration to the inner tissues. Commercial importance of
Okay, this is enough. Let's return back to our presentation. So epidermis covers all root, but not the root tips. Epidermal cells just behind root tips produce root hairs. In some plants, when they get older, cork replaces the epidermis. Okay? Do you have any question about the differences between cork and epidermis?
No,
Epidermis,
miss.
only one cell thickness, made up of living cells, while cork, the epidermal cells are
Thick.
transformed into cork,
Yeah.
having now several layers of dead cells. Both of them are protective tissues because they are surrounding the ground tissue and the vascular tissues. هلا, root hairs, how can we define root hairs? From their shape, okay? They are slender projections of cell membrane. What is the function of root hairs?
Absorb water and minerals.
To increase the surface area. It's important to mention that, to increase the surface area. Yes, okay, to absorb more water and minerals. Root cap, a mass of cells cover the root tip and protects it. Okay, can you notice the root cap here?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's draw together now cross section within the root. I'm going to start with the outermost layer. It is only one cell thickness, right?
Yes.
So this layer, it is only one cell thickness. What is the name of this tissue?
Epidermis. Dermal tissue.
Okay, so dermal tissue. Type. Where are the vascular tissues?
In the core.
The core.
Yeah, in the
That's the center. The one which is in the middle,
It's the xylem.
The
the
xylem.
okay, alternates with
The phloem.
Phloem.
what is surrounding the vascular tissues?
The ground
Gra-
tissue.
Ground tissue.
Ground tissue. Okay, what are these slender projections
The
from dermal?
root
Root hair.
The root hairs.
Dermal hair.
What is the function of root hairs?
Increase surface area to
For
absorb water.
to absorb, okay? It's like an adaptation. Now, within
Yeah.
a longitudinal section, yes? Here we have the tip of the root, the meristem. It is surrounded with what? This orange here represent what?
The root
What does
tip.
the root,
Tip.
what is covering the root, the tip of the root? The root cap.
Yeah, the root cap.
What is the function of root cap?
To protect the growing
Hello.
cells.
The outermost layer, which is the dermal, it is found within the root, except for the tip of the root. There is no dermal tissue. You can notice here the root hair from dermal tissue. Hello, what about the center? The core, it contains xylem,
The xylem and phloem.
alternates with
Phloem.
phloem. So what is surrounding the xylem actually is the phloem. Now, what is surrounding both xylem and phloem? Which layer?
Ground tissue.
The ground.
Ground.
So this blue color here represents ground tissue. In some plants, dermal tissue is replaced with cork.
Tissue.
Can you tell me
Cork.
differences between cork and dermal tissues?
Dermal tissue is one layer living cells,
Ground.
and cork is a thick layer of dead cells.
Excellent. And how are they similar to each other? What is the
They're
function
both protective.
of cork and
Both protective tissue. Both protective
tissues. Thank you very much, Amira.
and times.
Okay, we covered the functions of roots, the types of roots, and the structure of roots within a cross section to label the dermal tissue, the outermost layer, the gray color here, the yellow color represent the ground tissue, and at the center both xylem and the phloem. If you have a diagram, okay, how can you know that this diagram shows a cross section or longitudinal section within a root? From 2 points. What are these 2 points?
The
root cap.
yeah. No wait.
From the vascular tissues that they are found within.
Mm.
Suppose the cross section, not the longitudinal. That both xylem and the phloem, they are found, okay? Where?
In the core, yeah.
In the core.
Core.
And else? What can help you? The root hairs, bravo, okay?
root
The
hair,
root hairs. Okay, I'm going to end the session now. Stay home, stay safe, and take care of yourself, okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
You too.
Miss,
Yes.
can I ask you a question for a sec?